welcome everybody. Welcome to anybody that's listening to our Facebook Live today or listening to it afterwards. I'm Rosjke Hasseldine. And did you see that, Kerry? We're just looking at, they're having trouble. Yeah, I'm Rosjke Hasseldine. I'm the founder and director of Mother-Daughter Coaching International, author of 2 books. And at Mother-Daughter Coaching International, we teach courses, online courses for mothers and daughters, and professional training for therapists, essential mother-daughter attachment training for therapists, since it's missing in many training organizations and curriculum. So we're going to go introduce ourselves first, because this is MDCI's people, and then we're going to be talking about generational trauma, which is a key topic when you're thinking about mothers and daughters. So, Kerry, do you want to go next? She's our Director of Operations.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm just checking because it's saying that we've got trouble streaming to Facebook, but I'll have a look at that afterwards. Hi, everyone. So I work with Rosjke at Mother-Daughter Coaching International, and I work at Kerry Castledine Coaching. I'm a certified life coach and certified mother-daughter coach.
Thank you. And Erica.
Yes. So my name is Erica Thomas. I'm a licensed therapist and certified mother-daughter coach trained by Rosjke and MDCI. So I have a private practice, Vita Nova Counseling, and Vita Nova Mother-Daughter Coaching. I'm located here in Liberty Hill, Texas, which is just outside of Austin.
Excellent. Welcome. And Erica is one of our teaching faculties, so she helps with the tutorials, and so does Brittany and Bibi. But let's go to Brittany next.
Hi, I'm Brittany Scott. I am a licensed therapist and also a certified mother-daughter coach trained by Rosjke and MDCI. I have a private practice and also a coaching practice where I work with mothers and daughters together.
Brilliant. And Bibi.
Hi, I'm Bibi Jameson, founder of Restore to Love. I am a mother-daughter coach trained by yours truly, Rosjke, and I am a relationship coach as well. So I do mother-daughter work, couples therapy, just anything to help people get moving in their relationships.
Well, welcome. This is wonderful. This is the MDCI sort of tribe that keeps it going, and of course we have a much bigger tribe out there of people that have completed our training and certified as a mother-daughter coach. So let's talk about generational trauma. There's a lot of talk about this topic. There's also a bit of resistance about this topic, maybe fear around this topic. For me, in terms of working with mothers and daughters, it is about looking at generational trauma. One of the exercises we teach in the course is the mother-daughter history mapping, where you can see that, in a sense, the trauma that is passed down. And trauma can be how women are silenced, the lack of emotional support. It's not just, violence or war experiences, but there is also the experience of patriarchy in terms of it is traumatic to not be able to speak. It is traumatic to constantly have to be there for everybody else and for your needs to be last. So, yeah, thoughts, ladies. What do you see? What are your thoughts when you think of sort of generational trauma and your experience with your clients, with your mothers and daughters?
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking about like how traumatic it is for a mother not to be able to mother her children the way she wants to because of patriarchy, culture, sexism, right? Where she's been silenced, she doesn't have a voice. So, even seeing her children going through some traumas, not be able to respond emotionally or practically in the way she wants to because of these other traumas that have just passed down, and that just keeps passing down. So there's also something there around like the response to trauma when it's happening to our children.
Yes, the response to trauma in terms of not only our own personal response, either as women or as mothers, and actually I think also as daughters, but yes, and the response as mothers, to our particularly children's, but our daughters' trauma. Yeah. And sometimes then if there's no language in the family, because actually what you're saying makes a lot of sense, because if there's no language, we talk about in the training about, waking up this language of what do women need, feel, desire. If there is no language for that, then there is no language for the experience of that trauma. So it can be silenced, which actually makes it worse. Yeah.
So what I find really impactful is when I do the mother-daughter mapping with my clients. So it's just thinking about the generational traumas, even though maybe mother and daughter who are in session with me, or maybe it's just, I'm doing individual mother-daughter coaching, even though maybe they don't necessarily see the generational pattern in their generation, it is interesting to see how it was in the past, right, for them. And what I think is a bit enlightening for them is that, and also kind of creates a little bit of hope, is for some of those mothers and daughters, they can literally see that they have broken the cycle. They don't know it. And I think that's even the most powerful part, is that they were doing it maybe subconsciously or maybe purposefully. I know, I know personally, I'm a mom who wants to, I'm purposefully going into motherhood with my daughter, trying to break some of those cycles, but some who don't, and then they realize that they've broken cycles. It creates this, it's like this light comes across them, and it's like, wow, I did something, and I contributed, and because I broke this, I could see why my daughter did not see that in her mother-daughter history, just overtly. So I personally appreciate, when we talk about generational trauma, I don't think that mothers and daughters look at generational trauma in the form of the dysfunctional generational patterns, right, in the mother-daughter attachment model.
Yeah.
So, that's where everything I feel like stems from, even, whether it's what we call, just whether it's abuse, or whether if it's just, or if it's, the silencing, right? So it's, whatever the trauma is, it is based on those patterns.
Yeah, I agree. Brittany, what's going through your mind? I can see there's a lot going on there.
Taking it all in, but the mapping is my favorite exercise too, because there's just so many aha moments that clients get to have when they see their family up on a piece of paper, and it's laid out for them to look at. But seeing that it didn't start with the two of them, it started well before them. And that helps to break up some of the pain and the frustration that they have with each other, because then it's okay, let's put the energy that we're having for each other, let's place it somewhere else and see that we can do with it together, versus them against each other. So I really like when we see, we know a lot of families have generational trauma and the cycles that just aren't effective and they don't work. But I like when they get to see them outside of themselves. So outside of the mother-daughter couple in front of me, they get to see it in mom or grandma or great-grandma. They get to see where it started. And that I think that takes the pressure off of the two of them to think well, we created this, or my mom is the reason for this. And it makes healing so much easier when it wasn't the two of them. So that map is so, so powerful for so many different reasons.
Mm-hmm. And it just isn't the two of them. I mean, I know that in a sense, there's an ignorance or a lack of understanding or a isolating of the mother's daughter. It just puts it's them. When how could it be? We all live in a you know, we don't live in a cultural vacuum. So, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Kerry, what are you thinking?
Just that really. The what I find really empowering is when the mum actually gets that aha moment of her history, and it's sad in one way, but then it becomes really empowering because they haven't seen how silenced they've been and how it's impacted their relationship with their daughter and all their relationships. And there's this intense sadness, which actually what I'm noticing is that at the end of it, there's such a lightness, especially for the mum. Because often the daughter can come because she feels that something's not quite right, and mum comes along, and mum's a bit like, why am I here? But actually, when they sit there and go, wow, that gives shivers down my spine. That is this generational trauma that they know something's not right, but they can't put a finger on it. And as the mother-daughter coach, you are showing them what it is, and it's like everything falls into place. Then all of a sudden it's very freeing for them. It's lightening. It lifts. That's the part that I love.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. And that as best they can with the knowledge and the information that they have and the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And working on that forgiveness element,
Yeah.
you know, and then the two of them working together. Yeah, it's very, very rewarding as a mother-daughter coach. It's extraordinarily rewarding as a woman, as a coach, to sort of aid and assist and spread, you know, this word. So as a coach in that practice, we often, when I have women, move towards the mother-daughter coaching, and that lifts a lot of quietness that they've been experiencing with other parts of their life. They start to see it, and then we move back to normal coaching or whatever, and that's really incredible, actually, being able to do that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I think it's you know, one thing I love about you know, teaching my clients those dysfunctional patterns is that, you know, sometimes they come in with such shame and guilt, right, for the trajectory of life that they've fallen into, particularly if it's something involving abuse, of some sort of abuse. And it is, you know, when we do the mapping and we talk about the generational patterns, you know, it's what I find that I think is healing for them is in a way is that it is a pattern. And they will see that in their mother-daughter history, that it's not, it didn't start with them. You know, it is it you know, and when we're not aware of these patterns, we are doomed to repeat them. And that's, you know, that's why when you have, you know, abusive, you know, you have abusive relationships, you have a mother or a grandmother who's in an abusive relationship, more than likely the mother will also fall into that abusive relationship, and then more than likely the daughter will fall into that abusive relationship. But if we're not aware and keenly aware of what exactly those patterns are, then guess what? Then that daughter's daughter, right, will repeat the same thing. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, when we talk about trauma and we talk about when somebody does experience trauma, it does alter their sense of safety. So they end up feeling safe with the same type of person that their mom ended up with because they know what to do with that. And so it's a comfortable thing, even though it's not really safe, but they know what to do with it. But underlying and really kind of pointing out all these patterns, I think allows them to really see what direction they need to go into and what's really going on.
Yeah.
I was gonna say one thing I've been saying and trying to like tell my audience that we can't always say I'm gonna do the opposite of what my mom did.
Yes.
Because that very rarely ever works. And also, who says the opposite is the right answer?
No.
Just swinging to the other side doesn't always answer the question. And so that's why we have the phrases of like, oh, I became my mom, or oh my God, I sound just like my mom, or oh, my life looks just like hers did, because we didn't actually have the information to properly make changes.
Yes.
So I'm going to do the opposite, or I'm not going to be like her. I'm just going to do different. And so, kind of to Erica's point, when you have the information, you can make actual changes to real data, like you know what's happened in your family, versus just trying to do the opposite and then landing in the same area.
Yes. I think that's a really good point. John Bradshaw, in one, I think it's Coming Home, or one of his books, says, 360 degrees from sick is still sick. And I think that he's quite right there in terms of, because if you're trying to do the opposite, if we don't know what it is we're trying to do differently, and it's not just that, but it's the impact it had, i.e., what was it like for mum and grandma? What stopped them from being the person that, let's say, the daughter thinks the mother should have been, or grandmother should have been? What actually went on for them? Then you can have so much more information to think, now I know what I need to do. But yeah, I've had mothers come who thought, yeah, I tried to do it differently, yet they end up in the same place. And there's a lot of blame. They can feel so much blame and guilt around that. When, how do you know what to do if it's not been unpacked for you?
Right.
And can I add, this happens with the therapy world as well, and the coaching world. If it is not taught in their courses, how can they identify? What do they know that they look? How do they know what they're looking for?
Yeah,
and also, if they've been taught a diet of mother blaming, in the sense of that mothers are the responsible parent to do all the caregiving, and if it all goes wrong, it's mother's fault, then that is what they're going to look for. That is what they're going to. That's what they're seeing, rather than a whole lot more underneath, and the mother as a person.
I agree. I was even thinking, because like all of us that were speaking here, we're talking about how like these mums come in to see us and they're carrying all this guilt and all this blame. So even how we see ourselves as women is shaped by the world of what the expectations are on us to be as mothers. And the attachment models that I was taught on my course, like I think like they just taught that if a child doesn't have that ideal mom, the one that looks like the picture of the Madonna, right? And then you just blame the mom for everything that is wrong with that child. And what the mother-daughter attachment model does is like, it tells the story of the woman. It gives her a voice. Who was she? What happened to mom? What happened to her mom? And that's just a beautiful thing, because a lot of these theories are based, like you said, you don't mother in a vacuum, right? And it just really expands that story. And once we do that, the powerful thing about looking at generational trauma is that it just like helps women understand not only what went wrong, but what you need to be the best type of mother, woman, wife that you can be, to have a voice, to have, those needs met, as outside of just be perfect, and be all attentive and everything to your child, the model really, it really works. Like, it's just so empowering, and not only do they learn about the generational trauma, they learn what is it like to be a woman in this family? What is it like to be a woman in this culture? What was it like to be a woman like 50 years ago? It's really it's so key, and not just for mother-daughter coaches, because I do a lot of work with couples as well, and singles, the relationship. It's like even the way a woman sees herself and what she wants and needs and requires from a man in a relationship or as a mother. All these things are shaped by what has been passed down to them generationally, how they see themselves, So yeah, it's really empowering work. It's so powerful,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's essential for anybody that works with women, actually, because I mean the research shows who we are as women. Like as we're talking, I'm thinking of one of the main themes in my family was martyrdom. I mean, my grandmother, my mother, badge of honor of selflessness and any conversation about what you might need was so threatening in my family of women. Because again, it touched on their starvation. So that so understanding that is not just about mothers and daughters; it's about us as women. So if we're working with women, we need to understand this. And I think some of if you're talking about attachment model and some of the others that were like attachment model was created. I was talking to somebody on Monday. I said it was created by an upper class English man who was brought up by nannies in the 1940s. I mean, and she said, well, that says everything, doesn't it? We don't really need to, that's the lens through which women are seen. So things that we need to evolve and develop and rethink it. Doesn't mean to say that the information is incorrect in attachment. It isn't, but it does need to be updated.
So, I was thinking, I know there's women out there who are really determined to break that generational trauma that they're experiencing. They know what they know the hurt that it's experienced. They know the hurt that they've experienced because of it. And I think, what I think about is if we don't understand, right, what our mother-daughter's history, what it brings to the table, right? What's bound to happen is that not only, so it can also continue, that trauma can continue in a very different way. And so my grandmother was brought up in a very abusive household. She witnessed domestic violence. She was abused herself. So I don't know for sure, but I think my grandmother, kind of seeing her story, I think that she wanted to break the cycle herself, right? So I think there was some thought probably when she married my grandfather, other than I want to just get out of this household, right? Because they were 10 years apart.
Right.
And, but, she picked a person who was so gentle with her, but almost super passive, to the point where she ended up being the abuser in the relationship. Not only that, but she also, some of that abuse ended up going into, to my mom. So my mom was also abused by her. So if we're not aware of these generational trauma and these generational patterns, then, those women that really want to do break the cycle, sometimes they may be in danger of actually repeating it.
Yes.
Without them really thinking it through. So, that's why I think, looking at these patterns is extremely important when we look at generational trauma.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I can actually relate to that because my grandfather was a serious bully. Completely, anyway, he was a bully, and there's stories of him being unfaithful and all that. My father, like you, Erica, you're describing, very passive, incredibly passive. And my mother became extremely controlling. Now, there are other factors there in terms of war, if you're talking about trauma, concentration camps, etc. But I think underneath it all, what I see in my family is this starvation. My grandmother was emotionally starved. My mother was emotionally starved, and she became controlling as a way. That's what we talk about maladaptive attachment behavior. She became controlling as a way of, I'm not going to be like my mom, but out of her starvation, because she didn't get the emotional attention or care from from my husband, my father, and she was supposed to. And being the eldest daughter, of course, that landed all on me. So I think, yeah, really, that's in a sense what we're talking about. Looking at the female experience, the emotional reality.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. So, oh, by the way, I do want to say that I had my mother's permission to talk about this. So, just in case the audience is like, ooh, so just want to put that out there. Okay. So I am sharing because my mom did give me permission, and I wanted to make sure I was sensitive to her story. So,
yeah. And sadly, I can't ask for my mum's permission because she's not here anymore. So, not that I think she'll give it to me, but yeah, because again, one of the themes of my family is you don't talk about it either.
That's
right,
exactly
right,
Don't air your dirty laundry in public at all.
right.
Even in private, you don't. So anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
will make sure that it will be continued generation after generation after generation. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we've got about we've got 4 minutes left. So yeah, any last thoughts before we sign off? To me, this has been such a wealthy conversation of looking at the pieces that the essential pieces that women need, and that therapists and coaches who work with women need to understand themselves, to understand why they behave in a certain way, to understand their relationships, and I think even to understand their work, how their workplaces. I think it's relevant for that as well, because after all, we all bring ourselves into work. And the dynamics that go on in the workplaces.
Right.
Oh, it's so rife.
Sorry, say that again.
It is so rife. Like a lot of my clients, like after a while, and when we've done the attachment thing, and then they discover that some of their unmet needs as daughters or wives or mothers, they're taking into the workplace and demanding it there,
Yeah, the
because
boss. Yeah,
it's it's everywhere.
yes,
But what I love about this is, and I think like the generation we're in now, women are like, we are doing our best. We're so empowered, and we're getting all the language and everything that we need. But we need to make this conscious. We need to be really conscious about it. Like what you said, like when you shared the stories of your history, Erica and Rosjke, it's like, that something needs to change. And they're doing their best to change it. But actually, unless it's conscious and intentional and understanding what came before,
Right.
you're probably going to repeat the same thing. So what this like mapping does is just really bringing it out, making it conscious. And then we can now start moving from generational trauma. And that's the thing I love about mother-daughter coaching, to be the generational game changers. We are the ones that are now breaking the back of these things. And we can even do it in allyship sometimes with our mothers and sisters. Like, okay, this stops here and now. This stops with this generation, and something different starts now.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Brittany.
I've seen recently online, and I don't know the exact words, but basically that the village is not for the baby, the village is for the mom.
Oh yeah.
And that the village is there to help take care of that mom so that that baby is fully taken care of. But we keep talking about villages in terms of how we raise children, but villages should be to raise mothers. And so when I think of this, like really helping women to know the story, to be conscious in making those changes, we actually create villages to raise mothers and daughters and to raise women, to be in community, to have that support, to be able to use their voice. And we'll stop doing this alone.
Yes. I like
Amen.
it. Yeah. Amen. Like, exactly.
Amen to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Erica, any last thoughts that you want to add?
Yeah, no, I think it kind of piggybacking off what Brittany said, I think that, I think learning too about your mother-daughter history is not just about, if you have a daughter, then you pass these, the healing onto her so that she doesn't experience that. But I mean, outside of that is learning also too that how to have relationships with other women so that, you can give them permission to be okay living authentically. And, you could be that one voice in their lives, right? That can say, you know what, live your truth. Live who you really are. And I think that's really important because I think women don't get the permission like men do to live their truth and to live, like they want to. It's the boys will be boys and they can be rambunctious, but if girls do that, it's pearl clutching moment, so we have to really kind of bind together as women and know that we have each other's back. We do. Otherwise nothing's going to change.
I agree. Yeah. Thank you. Kerry, your last thoughts.
Just taking it all in and being part of this incredible tribe of women that are game changers and seeing it in my mother-daughter couples and seeing the want. And I do feel there's an undercurrent of something happening, something changing. You see it in the social media, you see it on Instagram, and female voices are rising, but I'm not sure they know how to make them louder. So for me, I just feel incredibly grateful to be part of this community because this has shown me how to have that voice. And then I can pass that on to my clients to show them how to have their voice and then their daughters' voices. So there's definitely something brewing. And I'm just, it's just great to be part of this tribe.
Thank you. And I want to say amen to that because I am I've been doing this for 30 years and it's so wonderful to have this group, this tribe of women and our graduates. It's, For years I thought, because I started ages ago, I felt like I was doing it alone. I'm not doing it alone anymore. And that's gold. That is gold. So I'm grateful for each and every single one of you. And if you're listening, go to motherdaughtercoach.com. There's online courses for mothers and daughters. If you're a therapist and coach, I really want you to go on motherdaughtercoach.com and have a look at our professional training. Because if you're working with women, this is essential training for you to have, and the information, you need this information. And up until tomorrow, I think it ends tomorrow. Yeah, it's early bird special. That's a coupon that'll give you 15% off. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you at the next Facebook Live. So stay on.